Right, good morning. And I think we're going to take the approach that thank you very much for coming and listening to us, and it's always the right people who are in the room. So let us kick off. My name's Lorraine Steyn. I'm the CEO of Khanyisa Real Systems, and I have the privilege of also working probably about 3 days a week actively in our dev teams, various of our teams. So I'm still developing, I'm still active in the teams.
Hi, I'm Alain King. I'm the director in charge of training at KRS, and I'm also involved with actively in the teams, but I'm also responsible for all of our training which takes place remotely. Just a quick note for those who are online, this is track 3 in the Slack chat. If you've got questions there, we will be looking at them afterwards.
Oh yeah, and if you feel like tweeting, our handles are up on the screen, and it's always lovely to get a few comments if we say anything that resonates. So what happened to us, happened to a lot of tech companies 2 years ago. We went from an in-person company to a fully remote. Suddenly, everybody that we used to hang out with at the water cooler is just a little block behind a Zoom screen. And we had to adapt. We had to find new ways of working and find new ways of keeping connectedness. I think that was really important to us. So we're going to try and share some of those lessons, the things we did, what worked, what failed, what we recommend, and I guess everyone's journey is different. Because this is a talk about pair programming, I'm actually going to start off by just justifying pair programming before we talk about how we did it with remote tools. As not everybody really buys into it yet. I guess you're here because you're interested. Some of you might be still fighting that fight with management who are like, no, it's 2 people doing one job, it's too expensive, we can't do it. And the reason we really believe in it is because you get a lot more upfront design. When you're pairing, you have to actually talk to your pair partner. You have to justify why you want to do what you want to do. And 2 heads are always better than 1. And there's also this thing, and it's very, very real, that your first idea is not your best. Look, it may be, but statistically, the first idea you get is quite unformed. And you need a few ideas to really start getting your best idea. In pair programming, you at least get 2 people first and you talk about it a little more. Because developers do this thing. They go, oh, I know how to do that. And they just go off and they apply a pattern that may or may not be right. You also get, when you're pairing, every little bit of code you write, you're making small decisions. You're making micro-design decisions about, oh, we need a test, what should we name it? And all that stuff gets better because 2 people are putting in what is more understandable to them. So there's this continuous Q&A that goes on, because if you have the normal process of you finish and then it goes to someone as a PR and then they give you feedback, now it's rework. So again, it's better to do it live in the stream. You get knowledge sharing. And in the Cape Town talk, someone came to me afterwards and they said, I didn't really emphasize this enough. A lot of code, only 1 person knows it. Have you got code that no matter how much you'd like to get rid of it, it always comes back to you for support because you're the only one who knows it? So you want to share that burden. You want other people to know the code as you're working on it. So it's not just the code, it's the domain. It's like the whole lot. Everything is shared when you work as a pair. It can also be useful for onboarding people, mentoring, bringing more junior people and sharing your expertise. But pairing is actually a 2-way street, okay? It mustn't just be I'm the master, I'm telling you. That's not it at all. And then, of course, you do get improved focus and productivity. And the reason I claim that is because I know how hard it can be to get started on a task. Man, I can find a million things I have to do. Oh, I've got some more emails to check, and I got this to do. But you've got a pair person waiting for you. So you better bring your game and just come and do it. Okay, so it really does help with stuff like that as well, especially remote when you start to feel a bit adrift. Yeah, a lot of management still thinks like this. What, you want 2 people doing the same thing? But hey, we really believe in sharing the load. So I'm going to throw some stats at you quickly, just in case you think I made it up, the attribution. I have cited sources on the bottom. And look, there are a lot of different stats, but this resonates for us with the experience we've had. That there is a short-term cost to pairing. It does take a bit longer up front, but you're supposed to get back in code quality, less bugs. And actually, the most interesting one for me is there's less lines of code. They did like a whole bunch of side-by-side experiments, people developing the same thing solo, it was in an academic setting, and pairs. And the pairs always turned in less code. I like less code, because you read the damn stuff 1,000 times for the one time you write it. So you have to come back and understand it over and over. And if there's less, it's better. That's my view.
So we're talking about pair programming here, but I just want to expand on that. We can do pairing, which is obviously 2 people. Mobbing, more people than that. Sometimes pairing and mobbing have negative connotations. So maybe you want to call it collaboration. Maybe it's as simple as saying to your colleague, hey, will you come and have a look at some code with me? But the concept is there's 2 or more devs, but 1 screen, 1 keyboard and mouse. So we want to keep the focus on 1 source base. Now, one of the things with pairing is it's hard. It takes work, it takes effort, and you will find you more tired at the end of this. So one of the ways to alleviate that is by swapping who's got control of the keyboard. You're moving it around. Recommended practice is every 10 minutes. As our teams have become more experienced in pairing, we find it happens even faster than that sometimes. And then the other question people always ask, so when do you swap pairs? There's no hard and fast rule. Perhaps it's each time you pick up a new task. Perhaps it's weekly. Perhaps it's daily. You can decide and you can work it out. Some of our teams that stand up will say, I'm picking up this piece of code, who's going to work with me? So that's just one of the things to help keep the productivity up when you are pairing. And now we take that concept of pairing and we put it into a remote world. And what's really nice is I've got my setup at home, Law has her setup at home, and we're not actually in each other's personal space. With coming out of COVID, it's obviously a big thing which is there, and all the other negative connotations with that.
Yeah, I love remote pairing. Get all the collaboration with none of the personal space problems that introverts hate. So we've made a couple of buckets of how we see the tools that help us do this. And I'm going to talk about some tools that fit into what we call a barely there category. So we keep seeing people do sharing via just screen share type apps. And it's not real pairing, okay? It's not collaborative enough. There's issues about who's controlling the keyboard, and we'll show you what goes wrong. But all of them, the Teams and the Zooms and the G-Meets and all that stuff is quite subpar for real pairing. But I do see people using it, so we're going to play out a little scenario. There are also quite a lot of tools for editing via the browser with online tools. We're not going to go into that lot at all, because we were really looking for was a way to collaborate on the tools we love. We didn't want to change over to some other editor. Right, so we're going to concentrate on the dev tools like Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code that we love. And there are also some paid tools that are really, really excellent, but we don't work for any supplier and vendor, so we're not going to talk about them either, because we're not going to ask you to spend money. And we have to just mention Tuple. Everyone who's got a Mac says this is like one of the best sharing and collaboration tools, but I'm on Windows, so we're only going to show you tools that work across Windows and Mac. All right.
Cool. So we're going to start off with our first demo, which is in one of the Barely There platforms. For this, we've taken up Teams. So, Law, can you switch to our team session? We've already established this. I'm sure everyone out there knows how to do that. So let's just get that up. And today, Law, we've got a task where we need to do some code. So I'm just going to share my screen.
Yeah. Hi, Alain.
Hi. So I'm going to share my screen, and you've got some code up there. So today, Law, we need to go and add something to a controller, and I'm just going to get started. Is that cool?
Okay.
So I'm just going to go and put in some code here. And just busy changing the method signature here, and then I'm going to put in the thing. So we need to get some data by an ID, so I'm just going to do it as short as possible. Return OK. There we go. And yes, so I've got this. Oh, it seems like someone's already written the method for it, so that's going to make our life even easier. So I'm going to start digging into this. Are you following along there, Law? Sorry, Law, are you there?
Yeah, sure, Alan. That's
okay.
Great.
So I'm busy digging into our code base. And I found the method, but no one's written the SQL. I really don't feel like writing some SQL today.
Is there something for me to do?
Oh, yeah. Do you want to ask for control on the platform? Okay, so I'm just going to give you control here. Okay, and it's come up. I see your cursor has arrived.
Alan, I know. I was following along, but I can't actually see the screen.
Oh, okay,
Could you make it a bit bigger for me?
Yeah, sure.
Alan, your cursor, I think your cursor's over the spot where I got to put the SQL in.
I'm just trying to make it a little bit bigger here. Okay. Can you see it now?
All right, let me try. You just want me to do like a select star from demo where ID equals that ID, is that?
Yeah, that sounds correct.
Oh, it's a bit laggy.
For those interested, we're using conference Wi-Fi, so it's always a challenge.
Is it doing it?
It is. It's appearing slowly.
Alan, I seem to have trouble with Shift key. It's like not taking my at.
I think let's end this demo, Law. That is one of the problems with cross-platform, is where suddenly keyboard mapping doesn't work.
All right, go back to our slideshow.
Yeah.
All right, so as soon as your pair partner starts saying things like, let me show you, all right, and allows their other partner to disengage, I mean, that's a dysfunction that we call watch the master. It's a really big anti-pattern. The thing with these tools is poor resolution. You've got to blow it up. I mean, I like my screens to have a lot of content, but I can't actually see. Teams isn't even as bad as Gmeet used to be. We used to use that too. There's latency. The cursors get in the way. They're not really designed for coding. They're designed to talk to people. And if you do pairing wrong with low engagement, you are just simply wasting the second person's time. Right. There's one other tool in this set that we just wanted to mention, which is Discord. Now, almost all of our younger devs live on Discord. It's where you hang out. It's the gaming, it's where you chat to your mates. So quite naturally, it comes into the corporate world or, your business environment. And it's dire. It's everything's wrong with it. So they start sharing screens in Discord too, because you can share a screen, and you get the same nonsense where you're not actually collaborating. It's watch the master dysfunction. It's heavy. It actually takes a lot of resources. So we get people who complain because now they can't have everything running. It's affecting things. And we actually had to make a call. This was a bit of an experience thing we did, because we hate telling people you may not do stuff. We want to treat our devs as adults. We want them to kind of explore a bit, and the team must settle on tools that work for them. But when it came to Discord, eventually we just had to say, guys, that isn't a pairing tool. Please go and use something else. So we had to be a bit heavy-handed.
Cool. So the next tool we're going to talk about is Atom. For those of you who don't know, that's GitHub's IDE that they released in 2015, based on the Electron platform. And the plugin which we're using for this pairing demo is called Teletype. So I think if we bring up Atom, please, Law. Actually, bring up the team session so they can see. I'm going to start the session from my side, and we're using Teams so you can see what's on my laptop. I know the resolution's not the greatest on the projector here. At the bottom, you get a little tool, and I can click Share there, and it's going to create a URL.
Oops.
We look like we've lost projector. Back.
I moved the monitor, sorry.
Okay, so I've copied this, and I'm just going to send the URL to Law in Teams.
Okay, well, I've got to bring up my atom.
First, you need the chat to copy that, Law.
Yes, I just was going to...
Up at the top, that's the chat on my screen. The fun of these tools.
It's not coming up on my screen here, so I'm having to pretend I'm over there, and it's like, okay, right. Got it. No. Ah! This is not working. I need it. Give me a...
No, that's the next one.
Give me a moment, give me a moment. Yes. All right, I'm going to bring up my atom, and then I'll paste it in.
There we go, just at the bottom.
And then it's just about off the screen, isn't it?
Yeah, I can see it here. Move your mouse to the right a little bit.
Oh, man.
TV's causing problems here.
I can't see it.
Okay. Just go to the, if you go to Packages menu, Law, you can get to teletype that way.
You're kidding me, right? What do you want me to do?
So go to the Packages menu, up at the top, and then, no, the menu on the toolbar. Second last one.
I'd like to say that.
And then 4 from the bottom. And the bottom one down there is Join Portal.
All right, we're having some tech problems in that I can't see the bottom line, but if I was online, I would just be connecting. So
you should be able to see Join at the bottom. There we go.
Yay.
Hey, finally. Okay.
So hi, Alain.
Yeah. And there we go. So what we've got here, and I've made it fairly large, so hopefully you can see here, is I've got a C# file open on my side. On the left-hand side of Law's screen, she's actually got a JavaScript project open. But one of the benefits of this plugin is Law can set up a sharing session as well. So she's going to enable that now and just send me that.
Yeah, hi.
Okay, and I'm just quickly going to copy and paste this.
You want me to stay in Teams, Alain?
Yeah, so if you go to Teams now, so on my side I had the reservation service up, and yeah, do you want to open a file on your side, Law? Actually, go back to Atom and open. So pick something on your side, and then and go bring up my Teams now, and you can see this is the same code base that Law has there. And I can go and add a demo statement inside here. And it all works. And the benefit we've got here with this tool is you can have 2 different projects open. So if you've got a front-end team and a back-end team and they're busy negotiating the contract between something, you can have the C# class up in the JSON model, and they can be making edits on both sides and comparing it back to back very easily. I think let's go to the slides.
I'm battling a bit with a screen, but that was our pairing session. Mm-hmm. Give me a moment. I'm going to get my mouse back. Okay. So, yeah, so many things. One of the things with the GitHub tool, Atom, is because you're working on different projects, which is both plus, but it also can be difficult to follow. It doesn't really show you easily, it doesn't show me where Alain is in the code. I kind of have to talk it through. So one of the dysfunction is called driving too fast, but the solution to it is to dictate as you go, which is anyway a really good thing to do as you're coding. So you talk all the time, and in pairing, you often hear people talk about driver and navigator as a paradigm, as a way of working. And we don't really subscribe to that one, because what we just call it tag teaming. Because it's not actually Alan telling me what to do or me telling Alan. It's us collaborating. It's me saying, how about this? And him saying, oh, let's put it in there. And then we go look at something. So we tag team as the paradigm that we prefer. But when you're starting out, you can try the formalized, the one person types, the other talks. But I don't think that's really true. I think we talk all the time. And it's that talking and engagement that's the value. So Atom, you have to have another tool like Teams or something up for the voice part. It's okay. Most devs don't share video. At some point, you just are focusing on the code, but you talk to each other a lot. We really like the idea of the sharing the files and not the whole project. So I don't have to stop the environment I'm in and busy with to go and join Alan to just look at a file with him. I think that's kind of quite powerful. Whether you're doing front end, back end, all this sort of stuff, it's really a nice way to do it. So remember to dictate as you type, and we just absolutely love the multiple projects, but we don't have a lot of teams that actually are using Atom. I don't know, is anyone here using Atom? Okay, it's a tool out there that's quite, a lot of stuff's based on, so. Right.
So the next tool we want to try and demo, and I say try, I'll explain why, is called Pop. So Pop is developed and it started in 2020, and it's done by a bunch of guys who wrote a previous tool which got sold to a small company called Slack and is responsible for all the voice calls, video calls, and screen share inside Slack. They then went off and started this new product which has been renamed and is now named Pop, and it's still in beta. It is a beta program, and it's a screen share tool which is quite lightweight, but at the moment, mine is just giving me a problem. Do you want to try and start the meeting there, Law? So it's this little pop-up there. And you can start with camera and microphone. So the tools are available inside of it. And I've just got the spinning thing as well.
Yeah, bandwidth, huh?
It's either bandwidth or they're having a problem.
Oh, that's sad. So, I mean, we could go and try and get that little piece of video up and show everybody, or we could talk it through.
I think let's talk it through. Yeah, so it's connecting. Let's see. I'll keep trying on my side while I talk here. So, can you send me that link, please, Law? Mine's also popped up, so if I can just get that link. So it generates a URL there, which if you were to open it, would pop up, and you can actually do this in the browser as well. And I'm just struggling to get that.
Are you in? Are you finding it?
Copying the link. There we go. Got it.
Yeah, I'm sorry we have to do all these like handshakes. But each tool requires this like handshake, and then you're in, and then you can work.
Okay. Bring up Pop on your side, Law, and we'll see it there. Because I see you are connecting. Okay, and it says I'm in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. And what is cool about Pop is you actually get the whole desktop experience. So you share a whole screen on there. So you can see the previous Atom demo is still running. It's running on my machine. If I were to go here, we can go back to the Visual Studio Code demo I had at the beginning. And I can even go to a tool which doesn't have pairing like SQL Server. But this code is really small. But, Laura, I can't remember where to make this bigger.
It's down here, Alain.
And there's one of the powerful tools of Pop is you're actually able to draw onto the screen and annotate while working. So I'm going to make the code bigger. And then I can type here, or Laura can actually choose to take control.
And something I think so cute is you can keep the drawing. So you can go scribble, or I can make it fade. And then it's just like a digital there. Yeah, sure, I can type. What do you want me to type?
Yeah, you're welcome to type something. And I can also take control on, change mine to draw as well. So our teams which are using this tool are teams which are sitting in lots of different tools and IDEs and swapping between things. So I think that's the features of Pop.
All right. I'm
going to just...
Yeah, so all types of apps. I just love the drawing ability. Even the teams who don't use pop for most things, they'll pop in there to go and do a little diagram or a sketch or just some notes to like go, well, this is how I'm thinking. You know, it's just so nice and quick, and you don't have to keep it and know how to use a fancy tool. It has a browser option as well, so you don't have to have the little app that we were running. You can just do it in your browser as well. You can join a session. It's fairly lightweight, but we do find it's maybe a bit heavier than like probably the Visual Studio stuff we're going to show you. And because it's in beta, like after an hour or so, sometimes things get a bit sluggish and you've got to start a new session. But it's free and it's cute, so we use it quite a lot.
Cool. So the last demo we're going to do is actually Visual Studio Live Share. So this is a plugin which was released, it was published and made public in 2018 and works in both Visual Studio Code and Visual Studio. Now, as a dev house, our preferred backend language is C#, so those devs are using Visual Studio, and Visual Studio Code is the preference for most of our devs for the JavaScript, TypeScript editing that they do. So we've already got a session running, so Lord, you want to bring up Visual Studio Code? So this we set up earlier on. It is code which is living on my computer, which Law connected to. Once again, it's another URL. And at the top, you can just see it says follow me. And as I move around and I move my cursor around, it will do that. And if I open another file, pops up.
Right, I can follow along, Alan. That's looking great. Thank
you can go and type something as well. So just pick a spot and add some code in. Now, the projector resolution here is not great to make it visible, but you can see there's changes happening on the screen there. And we can go along and we can work and we can both edit in the same file at the same time, which is a really powerful feature which none of the other tools really do. Atom sort of can do it, but not to the same extent as this. But the cool thing is, let's go and find the reservation class and make some changes inside there. So you can say this to your pairing partner, and Law, you go off and find something, and I'm going to...
Well, Alan, then I think I'll not follow you for a bit.
Yeah.
So I can go and do stuff on my own. So I'll disconnect from you, and then I'll go and look at my stuff.
So the session's still running. We can both independently go off and find things, and I can add... go off and do work, because sometimes you need to go and find stuff inside a piece of code base, or you need to go and look for something, and the pair can separate. The session's still available, and at the end I can go, Law, I've managed to find this.
Okay, good, because I don't think it's in this class.
Okay, cool. So up at the top here, there's an icon which looks like a speaker, which is focus participants. And what it does...
Hey, I'm back.
You're back. I'm actually lower down on the screen than that, but it brings the people to where you are. Now, it's not really showing. Oh, I actually haven't created this. So one of the other features which you can do is while I'm working, I can find something, get the guys back to me. But I added a comment to line 60.
Oh, I see. You've left some notes for me. Thanks,
yes.
Man.
So one of the other features we like about this is you can actually, if you see something while someone's working, you may not want to interrupt that person's flow while they're typing, but you can leave a comment on that line of code, and it becomes its own separate thread which can have discussion about it. So you can leave notes. Live Share also has a chat feature. If you bring up the team session, Law, I'll bring it up there.
I'll show them your side.
Yeah. So at the bottom, I can get to the whole chat for this, and I can actually say, comments, and this is a global chat like you've got in Teams or something like that. And if I were to go and actually, you made a change in one of my files, it was this one. So if I go and just save this file where Law made a change, and when I go to my source control, it picks up that there's changes, and it also adds in there that it's co-authored by Lorraine Steyn.
Hey, thank you. I'm going to get some credit for pairing with you.
And that's important because some managers actually go, oh, why is Alain doing all the work when you've been pairing? And the tool is so smart that it picks it up and just highlights that this was done as a pair, that people were working, and it's a very, very good collaboration tool. So I think let's bring up the summary slide here now. So the features which we love about Live Share is that follow, unfollow, and the ability to focus participants. As I said, Microsoft released this to the public in 2018. When we were going and prepping for this talk, there were some issues we'd experienced previously with LiveShare. We went in and found, no, they fixed them all. And our preference is to use this tool because it's got the low latency. It's in the IDE that you're working in. And one person could be in VS Code, one person could actually be in Visual Studio. So you could be swapping between that. We find it really good. And as I say, they update it regularly. The negative of it is there's no built-in voice or video calling. So you need to be running a team session to be able to talk to the other participant or whatever your preferred channel is for that. But I don't know that Microsoft's ever going to add that because they want to sell you the Teams product. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about using brand names. Any chat program.
Yeah.
Good.
There we go.
Okay, this is my final hard sell about why pair programming. Let's just go back over it in case you're now thinking, I'd like to try this. This would be nice to collaborate. Here's the short list, right, to sell it. Pairing improves code quality. It really does because code quality starts from design. Okay, you get less code and you actually get more innovation because you're discussing ideas. Learning increases. So now every dev, if you ask the Office N guys, they say, and they do the surveys, what do devs want? They want learning. But now the thing about pairing is you actually have to be a bit vulnerable. You're showing your code, right? So for some people that's a bit scary. There's a lot of imposter syndrome. People are a bit worried. The only way to get over it is to share and realize everybody's got the same problems and actually you know a lot. It's actually a great way to actually solve that problem. You're suddenly like, oh, okay, I did know that, right? So learning increases at all levels, and it particularly increases if you are senior and you're willing to not like go, oh, I know everything. Maybe this younger person's got a question I hadn't thought of. So you've got to be a bit vulnerable, and you've got to be open to it. I've talked about motivation and focus, and just like you've got to pitch up because your partner's there. The bottom line eventually was that this is how we support our remote developers. Okay, instead of leaving them out there on their own, going, oh shit, I'm stuck, and what must I do now? And you're actually supporting your developers with each other. Everyone's supporting each other. So that for us was the killer. It's a silver bullet. That's why we think this solves so many problems. And I really hope you do try it. And if you try it and it doesn't work, remember, like everything, you've got to get better at it. But you're doing it well when you're tired. Like after an hour, you have to take that break. You have to go and say, all right, now we're going to go walk in the garden or whatever it is you can do, and then come back. So a big thanks from us. DevConf asks you to go to devconf.coza/rate, and please give us feedback. Tell us what you found valuable, what you thought we'd wasted time on. I know the tech stuff was a bit challenging at places. But yeah, thank you so much for listening, and we hope it was valuable. We can take questions, and we must look at our Slack channel.
Yeah. So actually, we've got 2 questions on Slack already. So it's from Pamela. The first one was, what advice would you give developers that are feeling a bit shy about pair programming? It does feel like it takes a bit of bravery to work like this. And hopefully, Law answered that in the last slide, Pamela, is you need to set the example. As we said at the introduction, we're both directors in the company, and we do pair on teams. And we need to set the example that we want to hear what the junior has. And at first, it's always, when they start off, you can see they're nervous. And the first time you pair with a new person, they're always nervous about, oh, I'm pairing with my boss. And by us changing our attitude and setting a better example, you can change that so that after a few hours, that person's a lot more relaxed because you're listening to their feedback, you're getting their input. And sometimes because they've got a different approach and they don't have many years of experience, they've come up with great solutions.
Something from the floor, maybe? Anyone?
A more technical question.
Yeah.
Go, you started, go.
Quick question on the Visual Studio sharing tools, when you're doing debugging or testing, like your test cases and such, is that something that's shared?
Oh, sorry, they've got a mic for you. Can you just repeat it for the online people?
Sure thing. So for when you're doing the pair program using Visual Studio with a code or Visual Studio, and you're running your test cases or you're running your debugger, how is that working? Is that something that is shared between the two, or is it something you have to do individually?
So when Law connected to the session, she got all the plugins, all the options from me, so she could even do the commit from in the session. There's also an option to share the terminal and share the server, so you can actually do the debugging and things like that in the shared environment. Okay, before we take another one from the floor, I just want to quickly, Pamela also asked, did you try Code With Me and what's the latency like? So Code With Me is JetBrains' paid-for tool. If you're in the JetBrains platform, Visual Studio Code ticks the same boxes. The difference is Code With Me will allow you to do the video and voice calls within the tool.
It is very nice if you already have all the JetBrains stuff, but like I say, we don't want to make people buy stuff.
Yeah. There was a question, there was one here first.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Hi. So I just wanted to ask, do you still see place for solo development? I'm guessing the answer is going to be yes. And if so, what are the points that you look at to differentiate when you should be doing solo versus peer?
Can I take that one? You know, there are times you really want to work alone. You're battling with something and now you actually want the focus of doing it on your own. So we actually have a rule that basically production code needs to be paired on. All right, so when you're doing the let's test this out, let's go and learn, that we tend to do on our own. We still like to go away and get our heads down, get it solved and figure it out in our brain and then bring that, our best self, you know, to the pairing session. But we ask our devs to pair a lot. And you will always get somebody who just prefers to work on their own, but that's so dangerous. Nobody else knows their code. There's a little bit of ego in it, you know, often. I'm just putting it out there. And those guys are not always helpful in the team. And there's an anti-pattern as well about the hero programming. And it comes from systems thinking as well, that it's just not something you actually want. You don't want the person who comes in and solves it all. Where's the learning? Where's everybody else? You just keep doing it and you keep repeating the same dysfunctional patterns. So we're really, really, really keen that people actually work together. But it's tiring. So, I mean, no one's saying you must be 8 hours a day pairing because you will be crazy.
I'm just answering one thing here. Another thing to add, which we didn't actually mention, is because of the pairing process and the better design up front, you don't get the problems at QA time with a pull request. Because often that's, oh, you want me to go and change this, you want me to go and redo this work. So we find when the code has been paired, the QA process has changed quite considerably. And if it's a couple of seniors who are pairing together, they'll often self-approve the PRs. It's when there's more junior developers involved that there will be more change in that regard.
Yeah, we still have like some of those belts and braces for, depends who's worked together. Some pairs can just push straight to master and production. Yeah.
There was another question here. Mike's.
Just to expand on the live share with the debugging, because we had the same problem. Our main product is a WPF desktop application. And we found pairing with live share, you can't actually run the thing. Granted, it was a while back, so maybe that's changed, but has it changed? Can you actually run the thing and see the windows?
So it's only your IDE that's shared. So I'm just thinking about...
No, it can share a terminal and a server for if, like, exposing a local TCP port. I don't think it's got that full capability.
Yeah, we haven't done desktop for a while.
Yeah, the one team which does do desktop, they actually still WinForms, but they hop a lot between the various actual apps. So it's not just one instance. You would have multiple instances of Visual Studio and Management Studio open. So they tend to prefer the POP tool in that specific team.
Also because there's a lot of SQL, which at the moment LiveShare doesn't help you with your SQL manager at all.
Unless you've got it plugged into Visual Studio, but...
I don't.
Yeah, I was excited to see POP for that reason, because what we are ashamedly doing now is we're doing the Teams method, the barely there.
We covered it because so many people do, but I just wanted to tell you why it's not great.
But we don't give control. Like one person shares and gives control. We actually take turns sharing screen. So
I've seen
your
that.
Turn, you click share screen, and then then you've got to find where I was in the code.
I've also seen people do this thing where then every 10 minutes they're committing, and the other person pulls the work, and then they go on in the other way. It's just like feels like a lot of work.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Actually, thank you very much. That's fantastic. Thanks for your time.
Cool. Thank you.